There's one client and they told me we're going to pay this thing off in 5 years, and first time home buyers young. And I was like, awesome, that's cool. But like in the back of my mind, I'm like, there's no way. 5 years later, called them for a renewal and they're like, no, we got the mortgage paid off. And I was like, this is wicked cool. Yeah. Cool. So
in real estate, every time I talk to somebody, every time I go out in public, basically, they're like, how's the market? And it really depends whether you're buying, selling, or investing, right? So your big question, and it's going to be asked for the third time probably today.
Yeah.
What's going on with the interest rates? Welcome to the TNT Real Estate Podcast, where we spark conversations that set you up for real estate success. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Tanya, and each week we bring you expert tips on navigating Northern Ontario's real estate market. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, we've got the tools to help you thrive.
All right, so today we have a very, very, very special guest. We have Mr. Josh Dumencu from Dominion Lending. He's a mortgage broker in Sudbury. We grew up together. He's been killing it for the last couple of years. So obviously I invited him on. Tanya's off on a little holiday. So who better to have than somebody that can talk to us about not the real estate side of real estate, but the mortgage side of real estate. So welcome.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I've been a mortgage broker for almost 10 years now in town, dealing with a lot of range of clients and doing that sort of stuff. So it's been going good. And yeah.
I still remember the call that I got. I think I was in the business for like a year, 18 months or something like that. And like I got this call. It might have been a text, but it was like, hey, I want to chat to you. I'm thinking about like getting into like some side of the business. And then we sat down at your place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
and you're like just grilled me on like, okay, how do I get clients? How do I get realtors on board? I'm like, I basically just said like, give them food and like be good at your job.
Yeah,
like
don't suck. Yeah,
and
just
then,
don't suck.
9 years later, like look at you now.
Yeah, I forgot the food today. So yeah, maybe I'm getting a little.
We'll
rusty.
Go next door. There's a little restaurant next door after.
Sounds good.
Okay, so you've been in the business 9 years. Obviously, have had a lot of success, helped a lot of families out. Is there a trend that you're seeing now that you didn't really see? We always talk about like pre-COVID, post-COVID.
Right.
So like something that's happening now that like wasn't happening back then as in terms of like the way banks are lending or?
So from the banking side, definitely. AI since COVID and digital presence is huge. So like they've stepped up their side big time. Like even in a 9-year window, the amount of documents you need and like to justify somebody's income or down payment or whatever, it can get hefty sometimes. So they're really doing, as opposed to before, it might be a pay stub and some T4s. Well, now they want letters of employment, verbal verification.
Is that, do you find that's for like basically everybody across the board?
Oh yeah. For purchases now. Yeah. It's rare. There's still some lenders that don't need a letter of employment. Somebody's been at a reputable employer in town for 25 years and it's pretty clean cut. I've seen it get around it, but most of them now just default to asking for it. It's kind of just their safety net. Yeah. There's a lot of, sketchy stuff that happens in the market. So they've really pulled up their pants on that. And I think a lot of that came to light during COVID because of how busy it was. There's so much slipped through the cracks. Yeah. Which impacted a lot of lenders too. Yeah. But
I still like think back to the crazy COVID years. And I'm like, how did realtors do it? How did the mortgage world do it? How did the banks do it? Like it seemed like everything was moving so quickly, and there wasn't that many that really got dropped off or like didn't get funded or whatever. Like there's some hiccups on like it might have to extend a couple days to get the money or whatever. But I found like everything was just like bing bang boom. It was like in and out.
It was lightning speed, yeah. Because that's when we really seen, on my side, like we seen conditions kind of going away, right? So it was like there was no condition period. It was nothing. It was like, okay, you got to get your financing ready now. So I think once like the market started ramping up, like everybody in our profession really started preparing people too. Like, okay, this is gonna happen quick. Like where we can't sit on our hands. So I think everybody, like knowing how like it was shifting that way, a lot of people kind of pulled up their socks and were a lot quicker about things. But yeah, you're right. When it was happening, like I look back now, I'm like, I don't know how this happened.
Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of still moved forward with the market. Not like it's obviously like this year in Sudbury especially has been extremely quick or fast moving as well. But I feel like even like throughout COVID and then now, like those, like the pre-approvals, and like people, like my clients are like, just like they come to me almost pre-approved or asking who to use, but they're pre-approved, they're ready to go, and they're like, oh, we can have the financing condition or not. Like they kind of already have that expectation. Whereas like at the beginning of my career, it was more like, you know, we'll get the pre-approval, but like we still need 7 days of financing and to get it done. And obviously that's the right way to do it. But I find like the expectation is like, okay, we still have to go, you know, almost unconditional,
right?
Oh, unless you're doing like a 3-day condition, and it's like, and it's just, obviously that's still quick. But
yeah,
what's your, obviously you have to recommend like the conditional period, but like what's your recommend, like is a 3-day, like if you're competing with somebody that has an unconditional offer,
right,
but you really want to have a conditional period, is 3 days even, like, is it worth it to do? Like, can you get stuff done?
Absolutely. So like usually, like I can't speak for other people.
Of course.
What we usually do is we do as much legwork ahead of time, right?
Yeah.
So we've got 98% of the crucial documents. The application's ready to go. We're just plugging in an address. Yeah. And if we know you're offering, we're basically getting it ready.
Yeah.
So if an offer is accepted tonight at 6 o'clock, tomorrow morning, or tonight at 7 o'clock, that's on the lender's desk.
Yeah.
They know that there's a condition of finance, and we might not be 100% done in 3 days, but we've got the major boxes checked off. Like we know income's good, maybe, you know, missing a new pay stub or something like that, but we know it's going to be okay. Down payment, we're just waiting for mom and dad to transfer the funds from account A to account B.
Yeah.
So yeah, 3 days. 3 days I find is a really good one because it's still a quick enough turnaround too for the sellers.
Yeah.
Right, where they're not sitting there waiting forever.
Mm-hmm.
But the 5 business days, I like it because it's a little bit less. Yeah. It's a little bit less quick, and it allows me to shop a little bit more, right? Making sure I'm getting the right mortgage for everybody. But you know, we got to also play with the market and know our hand, and again set the expectation ahead of time so the clients know what they're getting into when they're getting there.
Yeah, that's fair. And then we're seeing like obviously market changes everywhere besides Sudbury, because Sudbury's still a pretty quick market, but it is obviously it's gonna come to us one day, right? So when markets kind of change, what's your perspective on like people wanting to sit out in a market that's super hot, and then, you know, wait, obviously it didn't work out when people were sitting out in, you know, 2020, 2021, because it kind of kept moving up. But in this kind of market that we're in, do you think it's like when somebody says, you know what, maybe we'll wait a year or two before you buy a house? What's your kind of thoughts on that?
So I guess that comes down to their scenario, right? Like if we're waiting a year or two because they just started a job, they want to build up to have a savings outside their down payment or those kinds of things, I think that's a pretty good reason. But if we're looking like they're ready to buy today, they've got their nest egg, they're comfortable, and you know, they're looking at the prices, it comes down to everybody's preference. But from the way I see it, right, like, okay, prices could drop in a year, say a 5% or 10% adjustment, but the rates are 1% higher. So you're paying less on the principal of your house, but you're going to pay more in a mortgage, right? Or vice versa, right? Like rates come down, but then the market goes up.
That's right.
So thing is too, like typically people are getting 25 or 30 year amortizations, right? So if you're not buying a house to turn it in a year or 2 or 3, typically, like historically, the market's come back when it's gone down, right? So if this is a place you're looking to live and stay for 5-10 years, like my advice would be don't wait. Find the right house, find the one that fits you. But if that's tomorrow or next year, you know, kind of just keep your eye on the market and jump in when you find the right place.
That's right. So when somebody comes to you, actually, I'm going to reframe this. What's your ideal, like what's your favorite client to work with? Is it, you know, first time? Is it move up buyer? Is it the millionaires that?
You know what? They've all got their pros. So I do really like first time buyers because they're excited, right? Like they're really excited to get into the house. Like that's one of the reasons I chose to get into this, is because like you're dealing with happy people, right? Like you're getting the money, like they're happy at the end of the day when you're dealing with them. So first time buyers are like pumped, they're excited. You know, sometimes they'll send pictures in a month and be like, check out what we did with the kitchen, or so it's cool from that aspect. And then typically like your move up buyers, like they're building a family. You might have started with them before too. So you kind of like grew with them. And that's where I'm seeing a lot of now is like clients that were first time buyers when I started, or moving up now, so you kind of seeing that. And then the millionaire buyers are also nice too, because like then you get to see some pretty sweet houses that are available in Sudbury. So yeah, those ones, they kind of all got their pros, but I think if I had to pick one, I'd go with first time buyers. That's cool. It's fun to chat with them, and they a lot of them have done research and stuff, but it's it's fun chatting with them and filling them in on the information that they maybe didn't know, and that source.
That was kind of my first question before I reframed it, was like, do you find from the beginning of your career to now that the first time buyers are more like, they're more educated when they're coming to you? I was gonna say the same. Like when I'm dealing with a first timer, they're like, so we're gonna, like, this is the process, and like, I'm gonna go get this kind of mortgage with these kind of terms, hopefully. So I find even like my cousin that just bought a place, obviously used you, and like he came to me with some questions, and I'm like, how do you, like, where is this question coming from? Because like obviously you've been doing your research, right? So
sometimes they come up with some fun questions too. Like there's been some where it's like, I don't even know the answer to that. I'm gonna have to get back to you.
Something like super Americanized. Okay, I'm ready to open escrow, and that's not the way it works here. That's cool. So so obviously the answer is yes, you do find it's like people are more educated now than they were. They're doing research on YouTube or...
Right, yeah. They'll come to you and they'll already be talking about an FHSA that they've opened up, and how much of their RSPs they want to access, or like purchase plus improvements is one where, like, typically when you're starting a conversation about a pre-approval, you don't really touch on it. And then, people are like, we're okay with finding a property that needs some work. We could do a purchase plus mortgage. Do you have those? And it's like, okay, well, you just jumped 15 steps ahead of where I thought we were. So, so they definitely got, obviously, I don't know if it's research or more people are talking about it too, like with the amount of information that's out there. But it seems like, I guess they may be tied to the market moving so fast as they kind of are preparing themselves ahead of time.
Do you find there's a lot of mortgage products that people aren't using, or is there a trend of like the home plus improvement? Obviously it's been around for a while, but is there any other kind of secretive ones that like you should be, like, you've been kind of advising your clients to be like, okay, we should actually check this out, besides like RSPs, TFSAs, like all the different investment tools? But is there like something that's like, you should start using this, like this is actually a good product?
No, there's not like a top secret one that nobody knows about. Like there's different structures for different people, right? So like there's kind of like there's first time home buyers, people like step up buyers, that sort of stuff. It's the same with the life year mortgage, right? So like you got people who are just starting a mortgage, like there's different products that are available, but they don't need to jump into it yet, right? Because they can't utilize them at all. And then you get the people who are kind of on the second half of paying off their mortgage. So there's different products there. Like at that point, like adding a HELOC, right? If somebody wants to clear their mortgage in the next 5 to 10 years, it's like, okay, let's put this HELOC on now. So then 5 to 10 years, you pay the mortgage off. You still got access to some of the equity if you're really hammering it down, because usually at that point, people like start thinking about camps or investment properties or whatever. So it leaves that door open. But one of the ones I'm seeing being utilized a lot is the first time home buyers being able to do a 30-year amortization if it's less than 20% down. So that's helped a lot of people jump into the market. And I feel like that really helps stabilize at least the entry level. There's some other stipulations to get into the same thing, but typically the first time home buyers are jumping on that. And
is that just for first time home buyers?
No, so it's first time home buyers, and then you could do new builds. For example, if I built a house and it's less than $1.5 million, I put less than 20% down, it's insured. I fall into there. I believe there's one other one, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. So how much does that change your payment for like the extra 5 years on amortization? Like let's say like a $500,000 place. Over $100 a month, probably closer to $200 a month. Depending on the rate and that sort of stuff. But it's substantial enough. Like it's probably going to help offset your taxes or close to it. And the thing is too, a lot of first time home buyers obviously never owned a house. So it's like, I always tell them, like, get your feet wet. Like we could always pay this faster, right? You could pay this as fast as 5 years if we have a 5-year term, if you want, right? But
do you find a lot of not necessarily let's just say a lot of buyers, do you find a lot of buyers are coming to you asking, okay, how quickly can I pay this off?
Actually, substantially more.
I was going to say, I have been kind of getting the same sentiment, and I don't know if it's all like the investment podcasts and, Bigger Pockets and all like people are like obviously more research now and they have access to more educational, stuff now, especially with YouTube and stuff. But that's one thing that I've been finding. Okay, we're going to try and pay this off in 15 years or whatever it is instead of 25 or 30.
Yeah. And like they ask for different strategies too, right? Like, do we do lump sum payments? Do we increase our payments? Like, do we just take a 25-year, 20-year amortization out of the gate? So that kind of goes back to the educated part, right? Is they're asking these questions right away, right? Like, what are the little things we can do to pay this quicker? And what's the outcome? Like, what are we saving here? Is it more down payment or whatever? I've really noticed even in the past 2 years that people are wanting to pay their mortgage faster, like 10 times, maybe 20 times more than before. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same, especially with my newer clients. They're all kind of saying the same. So let's switch speeds a little bit. Let's go into like the investment side of things.
Right.
Are they... Obviously there's a slowdown in Sudbury investment market is like much slower than what it was the last couple of years. Are you still dealing with a lot of investors, out of towners or in town? Or
I'm not seeing many out of towners anymore.
Yeah.
On the investment side, I'm seeing a lot more people though, like first time into the market or people buying houses as owner occupied rentals.
Okay.
I'm seeing those pick back up. For a long time. We were seeing like duplexes and triplexes get scooped up by investors, but like I've got clients that are only like they're buyers, but they only want to buy something that has a rental component.
Yeah.
But yeah, from the investor standpoint, I definitely noticed the slowdown. And a lot of them seem to be reinvesting in their own properties right now, as opposed to taking that money, acquiring another one. They're like, you know what, let's just build the equity in what I've already got.
Yeah.
Seeing a lot talking about building too.
Yeah.
Building, which is, I guess, good, right? We do need them.
Yeah.
So
you're finding, is that building like multifamily properties or building
multis? Yeah. So as opposed to buying something that's distressed and fixing it up, is putting that capital towards building something that they could basically build, finish, own, then it's
done. You don't have to touch it for.
They don't have to do any maintenance. They know what's in the walls, everything, right?
Yeah. There's some project properties that I've seen, obviously, and like you're like ripping down the drywall, and there's like newspaper insulation. It's like so it's not just replacing the drywall. Now it's like a full house worth of insulation, which is interesting as well. But yeah, I've been obviously there's more and more coming up in Sudbury, especially like the new builds. Is like the construction financing difficult, or how does that kind of compare?
So if you're buying from a builder in town, like say Belmar, for instance, like you're buying from them, like it works almost like you're buying a house from like a resale house, right? So there's a deposit typically, and that's negotiated. And then you're still picking your house, your floors, your colors, all that sort of stuff. And then on closing, you're basically purchasing it like you're buying any other house. So that financing is pretty straightforward. Yeah. There's a few extra steps, but for argument's sake, it's virtually the same. Yeah. When you're building on your own, it's a whole different ball game. Like when you're getting construction financing, and there's a lot of ways that can go depending on your profile, how much money you have liquid right now. Yeah. And really, like, that's what stops people from building a lot, is just the cash flow you need to pretty much get to like 50% built. Once you get to 50%, usually it rolls. Yeah. But yeah, getting to that 50%. So I don't see a lot of people doing self builds as much. But they're still there. Like people are still building, but typically they're figuring out financing through other means versus whether it's agreements with the contractor or whatever. But we're finding. Well, I'm finding that there's a little bit of a different shift there, just especially with the cost of material and everything too, right? Like it's so much more expensive than it was. Are
the people that are wanting to develop these, like let's say like fourplexes, which I see all the time coming up, are they coming to you with, okay, I have this builder, I have these plans, I need financing now? Or is it like, okay, I have a dream that I want to build a fourplex like everybody else in Sudbury, please help me?
Both. Yeah, both. Yeah. So a lot of times, like people, I think they see the fourplexes coming up and they're like, I want to do this, right? Yeah, I could do that. Like 5% down, like let's do it. Yeah. And then, you have the conversation and explain how it works. And then it kind of reshifts. And then you talk to the people who are like, okay, I got stamped drawings, or my drawings are about to be stamped. Like I've got the property picked out. those ones are a little bit more prepared. I think that comes down to the research too, but at some point they were the ones asking those original questions, right? So I get both sides of that one for sure. But it's the construction process is ever changing as well, especially with permitting and zoning laws and that sort of stuff. So it's definitely something you want to do your research on.
What are the banks tighter these days than they were before with the building part of it? Are they asking for all sorts of documents, or is it basically as long as you have the down payment or does it still lend on like your personal?
So
I guess it depends.
Yeah. Like most construction mortgages are kind of a flip, right? It's you do the work first, then you get the money, right? Yeah. So you would start with say we're building a house, right? Like we got to buy the land, which we could either say we had the cash, we could buy it cash, or we could finance 50 to 80% of it. So our first draw virtually is to buy the land. And then typically the next draw is at 30%. So we could buy the land without any permits or anything done yet. So we buy the land, then we get our permits done, we get our drawings, our permits, that sort of stuff. Then we apply for construction financing. Yeah. And then they would just say, okay, your first draw is coming when you're 30% done, or it's as you complete it. So then when you're at 30%, they release a portion of the funds, and then you got cash to keep going now.
Yeah, that's fair enough for sure. It's actually an interesting investment strategy. We're seeing more and more people do that. Obviously, just because the ease once it is built, obviously it's a process to get it built. But having an asset that you don't necessarily need to touch for, let's say, 10 years, besides paint and fixes or whatever,
right,
is interesting for sure. Have you thought about it yourself?
Oh yeah,
just personal.
Yeah. Once the kids are a little bit older and I got a little bit more time, but it's definitely crossed my mind. I don't know if I'd be doing like fourplexes, but the duplex option, like side by side, something like that for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, so in real estate, every time I talk to somebody, every time I go out in public, basically they're like, "How's the market? How's the market?" And it really depends whether you're buying, selling, or investing, right?
Right.
So your big question, and it's going to be asked for the third time probably today. Yeah. What's going on with the market? What's going on with the interest rates?
So this has been the conversation since ever, but it's one of those things where it's impacted by multiple kind of sectors touching on it, right? So your fixed rates got the bonds playing into it, but it's also reading into what else is happening in the economy, all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. So fixed rates have been up and down. They kind of stagnated. Then you got some lenders who are trying to pick up some market share. So they got some promos and stuff coming out. So fixed rates are a little bit easier to read. Variable, there's been speculation, right? Since 2022 when rates skyrocketed on variable, like when are they coming down? How much are they coming down? So, I mean, it's dropped quite a bit since this time last year. Mm-hmm. Everybody was expecting a little bit more rate cuts, and then tariffs came into play and kind of, threw a shoe at the door on that one, just slowing things down. But I mean, there's some numbers and stats that came out this week, which is showing that there's a strong indication that variables coming down next week. I don't have a crystal ball. I wouldn't be sitting here if I did. But so I think in the market right now, like it's really dealer's choice, right? What are you comfortable with? What do you want to do? But I think there's some pretty good opportunities that could be around the corner on variable. Mm-hmm. I mean, in my opinion, I think like, let's call it a 12-month period. Your worst case in variables, rates don't move. I don't see any reason why they would go up at this point in the near future. Mm-hmm. Everything's just indicating they should go down. But again, I don't have a crystal ball. That's right. But so it's, if somebody's, kind of hemming and hawing between the two, it's just ask the questions, do the research. But it's been a mixed bag for really coming out of the pandemic. It was something that I don't think anybody's ever dealt with before. Yeah, no doubt. And I think we're still seeing the repercussions of it, not only in the interest rate market, but, Canada's total debt levels and all that sort of stuff, which is playing into it too. Mm-hmm.
Are you seeing anything because you're in that, sector, that industry, like every single day? Are you seeing any trends that kind of aren't emerging yet, or nobody's really talking about, or it's kind of basically what the economists and the projectors are saying with each of the banks? That's kind of that's the way you're feeling about it.
I mean, I got my own opinions on it. Like this is just my opinion, but
of course.
I would be very curious to see what happens with rates in the next year for the fixed side. Like when we talk about 2022 and rates started going up, people already had fixed rates from 2020 and 2021. Right. So the vast majority of people did take fixed rates. So the people in variable were getting hammered and their payments were, doubling, or they were locking it in. So they maybe didn't get that 1.99, they got a 3.5, but it's still a pretty decent rate. Yeah. But I'd be curious because really the effects of the COVID market was 5 years ago now, right? Like March, things slowed down. Nobody knew what was happening. May really picked up, and then things started ramping up like August, September, October, 2020. Yeah. And things took off. And that's also when rates started really falling, right? Yeah. That's when we started seeing the sub 2%. I'd be curious though, because really like when we're looking at rates, for what people are renewing at now versus what they had, nobody's going up more than 2%. So if rates stay where they are, everybody renewing next year, the vast majority, they're going to be going up 2.5%, 3% on their rate, which is a lot bigger of a jump. Yeah. And then versus people now, they're typically only going up 2% from where they were 5 years ago, right? Which also happens to be the same number that the stress test is. Yeah. So I've got my eye on that one to see. So I wouldn't be shocked if we saw sub 3.5% rates in the next 12 months. Again, no crystal ball, but I wouldn't be shocked to see it. I wouldn't be shocked to see it. Like I wouldn't bank on it. I wouldn't sit on the sidelines waiting for it. But I don't think that's totally out of the question. Like even earlier this year in March, like we were seeing 3.79s, 3.69s, 3.5. Now like there was promotions and like, different banks doing it, but you've seen it sort of getting there and then tariffs.
And then tariffs. So when somebody's coming, well, I could probably answer this myself, but when somebody's coming in to, sit down with you and figure out where they're going as a first-time buyer, you're kind of putting them through your own kind of mental stress test, being okay, are these people willing to bet a little bit and go on the variable side, or are they, they're this is what we want to pay every month, this is what we need to pay every month, so that you're flipping them into like a 5-year term. Are you seeing a lot of people decide kind of the way it was before, like more educated? Are you seeing people come in and be like, hey, I want a variable, or are they relying on you for that information?
So we actually, when we get the application from the client, one of the questions, because we have like standard questions we ask, and sometimes they seem silly, but I need to know, right? Yeah. So one of them is, do you prefer a fixed or variable rate? So if they don't know what it is, they're going to say, I have no idea, right? So then I know where I'm starting from. Or it's fixed, but I'd like to hear about variable, or variable, but let me know what the fixed is, or one or the other, right? So typically that gives me a good starting point. Then in the pre-approval, we have the conversation about, let's lock in a fixed rate, or let's get something like in stone locked in. Then we could kind of play from there and see. But you definitely get a vibe, like you said, like a stress test in your own head, where you're talking to somebody and it's like, okay, if $10 is going to make a difference on your monthly budget here, then don't go variable. Doesn't matter what the fixed rate is. If you're comfortable with the payment, the house, the down payment, everything, right? Like take that sleep insurance for 5 years, right? Lock in the rate, or 3 years, or whatever term. Get your feet wet. You got 25 or 30 years to pay this off. If you want to gamble, variable's still going to be around 5 years, right? And there's still going to be market turmoil, and the rates could go up or down, or who knows. It's definitely that's typically what I say is like, that's what color do I paint my kitchen question? Yeah, because it's different for everybody, right? So
it should be white for everybody.
Yeah. So like if they ask me the question like, what should I do? It's like, my answer isn't take variable. You're going to, rates are supposed to drop. You're going to come out ahead. It's, here's your pros and cons of variable. Here's your pros and cons of fixed. And where do you feel comfortable moving forward? And you take a fixed and rates go down. Well, you're at least you made the best decision at that time that you could.
Yeah. You want to talk some smack for a bit?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a mortgage that you did? In like everybody does. So I know you have it, so I'm gonna extract it from you. Yeah. But do you have like a favorite mortgage that you did over the years, or you're like, wow, like, You went home and like patted yourself on the back for that one?
For like the amount of work it was, or like just the client? There's
the way it felt good, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So there's one client that we got their mortgage. This would have been like, I don't know, 8-9 years ago. And they told me, we're going to pay this thing off in 5 years. And first time home buyers young. And I was like, awesome, that's cool. But like in the back of my mind, I'm like, there's no way. 5 years later, called them for a renewal, they're like, no, we got the mortgage paid off. And I was like, this is wicked cool. Yeah. Cool. So they know who they are if they listen to this. Yeah. I'm sure. But yeah, that like we had the conversation and
so was it like, did they have like, did they buy way below their means and they were just like dumping their cash into it, or were they high earning?
No, I wouldn't say high earning. Like it's not like they bought, made billions of dollars and bought a $200,000 house. But I think they bought well within their means, right? They didn't max themselves out and they had a strategy and planned it, cool. And they knew what they wanted to do going into it and executed it. Like it's I watch a lot of these like Dave Ramsey videos, and I don't necessarily agree with like all of his like investment strategies or his baby steps, but I'm like the people that are like he does the show every once in a while where he has like his like students on. They're like, yeah, we paid off $300,000 worth of debt in 18 months. I'm like, damn, like this is like, it's cool to hear. So that's actually a good one. Yeah. So definitely liked that one. There's some creative ones that you get done that, you had to put a little bit of blood, sweat and tears into, but that one definitely stands out for me for sure.
That's a cool one. Do you have any that you're like, okay, this is closed, thank God, like I never have to deal with this mortgage or this bank or these clients ever again?
You know what, I've got a pretty good relationship with my clients, and if there's like rocky points, usually I try and smooth it over, because like you're not buying a pair of shoes, right? Like it's stressful, and it's stressful on their end, so there's definitely rocky points, and do my best to smooth it over. And just genuinely too, right? I don't want to walk down the street and have somebody flipping me off. Like Sudbury's pretty small. I mean, I do my best to keep that intact, but there's definitely mortgages that just the way they're structured that like when they come to an end, I'm like, thank you. I don't
go
like,
home, let's just lay
I don't even care if I get paid on this one. Like just get it out of my hair.
Yeah, that's fair. There's always like those, actually I shouldn't say there always, there was one deal that it was years and years ago. And I was like, they always, like the people in my office at that time are like, you're going to come up to clients and you got to make sure like it's a good fit for yourself and for them. And like, because if you guys don't mesh in a certain way, like it's going to be hard. Like you have to pick your clients. And so I sat down with these people, they called me and I went and did a listing presentation for them. And I was thinking okay, if they tell me that we're going to list at this price, like I'm going to take them on as a client. And then, we're sitting down and I'm like, just the way they're talking, I'm like, oh, I don't think this is going to be like a good fit. So I'm like, please don't say yes. Please don't, like one of those. And then they're like, yeah, it sounds good. Everything's good. Like we'll list at that price. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to take it. And it was horrendous. It was like the deal from hell, which I was happy to get rid of it. But yeah, obviously everybody has experiences that they love and hate, but that's interesting. Do you have any other ones like the 5-year payoff ones? Do you have any that stick out where you're like, okay, I love this one?
Off the top of my head, probably not. Like
what's the biggest mortgage? Can you share that? If you don't want to, that's fine. But
yeah, I think it was it would have been almost $4 million.
$4 million for a mortgage. That's cool.
Yeah, that one was pretty interesting. I can't divulge too much of it, but that one was pretty cool. That was during COVID. That one wasn't in Sudbury. Yeah. I do like prior to COVID, I was working a little bit in like Kitchener, Cambridge, Waterloo area as well, and would go down there quite often. Not anymore, but it was out that way, but it was a smart person on the other side too, like investment savvy and stuff. So like we had some pretty good conversations throughout like, how do we structure this? Cause like once you hit a certain threshold on purchasing, like banks would much rather do $200,000 mortgages than one $2 million mortgage.
Oh,
right?
Really?
Because they need 10 to fail. Yeah. They always look at worst case, right? So they need 10 mortgages to fail versus one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair.
And somebody main income earner on a $2 million one loses their job. So typically once you get over like that $1.5 million, the lending is really tiered. Gotcha. And then once you're like 2 into 3 into like, now we're talking the unicorns really. So yeah, the strategies and everything changed. And the way we got it done on this one was like, I don't know how it got done. Like when we were talking about it, I was like, hey, we're going to throw some mud at the wall and see if it sticks.
Yeah.
And yeah, it stuck, and it was like, it turned out better than I could have imagined. So yeah, that one was pretty neat.
That's cool. That is cool. Okay, so thanks for coming on. This has been a really, really good, obviously insightful conversation. Can't wait to talk to you off camera about construction finance.
Yeah.
We'll go build something once our kids are grown up. But for somebody that's thinking about getting into the market, or maybe time to move up or whatever, what's a piece of, and they're like, overwhelmed with the situation, because when you are doing like the educational piece of it, like there's people that explain everything. So if they're feeling, overwhelmed about the process, what's like one piece of advice that you would kind of have for those type of people?
Usually if you're at that point in your mind where it's coming, whether it's this year, next year, whatever, to me, I think your best bet is to get pre-approved. Because typically when you're getting pre-approved, you're going through a baby step speed, right? So you're, fill out an application. It's your name, your birthday, your employment details, all things the questions, the answers to, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, we start to ask more questions. So as opposed to saying, okay, here's a 42-page essay we need you to fill out. It's kind of baby steps. And then we're having that conversation like, okay, what's the end goal, right? So here's where you are, there's where you want to be. Let's get this information, and then let's work backwards and connect you to where you want to be, or what you need to do to get there if we can't get you there today. Yeah. So I would say, just starting the conversation, even if it's a pre-approval or a phone call. As amazing as technology is, AI and stuff, Google or whatever, ChatGPT rarely has the exact answer specific to your situation, especially I find in financing and real estate and stuff. So just having that conversation with people in the industry, whether realtors, mortgage agents, whoever, even friends that have recently done it. Just having like that human conversation where you could just kind of flow with it and get your questions out, and then you'll start narrowing down, as opposed to trying to, drink out of a garden hose. You're get a little bit more direction from it.
Yeah, that's good. Well, thank you again for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see all of you again. Thanks for tuning in to the TNT Real Estate Podcast. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share with others looking to succeed in real estate.
We'll catch you next time with more tips and strategies for navigating Northern Ontario's #1 real estate market. Until then, stay ahead in real estate.